Hola amigos, it's Sam and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about a somewhat polarizing subject, Relic guitars. And it seems like the guitar community is sort of split in half on this topic, with both sides having valid arguments about the pros and cons of owning a Relic instrument, which I completely understand. So today I will give you my thoughts on them and share with you a couple of guitars that I have to give you a better idea of what each level of aging means. Before I get on with the video though, I just want to take a few minutes to do some quick channel housekeeping and invite all new viewers to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. My goal for 2025 is to reach 20,000 subscribers, and we are currently a little over 17,000, so your support means a lot and helps me stay motivated to continue bringing you new content like my punk covers as well as guitar and photography videos. So please take a moment to subscribe to stay notified about all future videos, and again, thank you all very much for your support. So what exactly is a Relic guitar? I'm sure most of you that collect guitars like I do probably heard of this term, but in a nutshell, it refers to a new guitar that has been artificially aged to look like an old, worn out vintage instrument. So in other words, it's about making a guitar look and feel as if it has been played for many, many years. So how and when did this whole trend start? Why are so many people against it? And why are manufacturers cashing in on it due to consumer demand? Now, back in the mid-90s, the Fender Custom Shop introduced a 50s Nocaster and a 50s blonde finish Mary Kay Stratocaster, both featuring an aged finish to replicate the original models they were based on. The introduction of these Relic options was very well received, and Fender capitalized by making them a staple in their lineup. Now, this was around the time that vintage guitars were becoming more desirable and somewhat more attainable than they are today. Though still out of reach for many average guitar players, these Relic'd models provided a way for consumers to own an instrument that looked and felt like the originals from the 50s and 60s, obviously at a much lower price point. Now, following Fender's success, other companies began to follow suit. Some sources claim that Gibson was producing Relic guitars before Fender, but it wasn't until Tom Murphy, who is now part of the Murphy Lab department in the Gibson Custom Shop, that Relic guitars really became extremely popular and desirable. Some of his early Relics from the 90s and early 2000s are amongst the rarest you can find today, commanding hefty prices on the used market. So what makes a Relic guitar desirable? For me, aesthetics and playability are the two main factors I consider when buying one. I really appreciate the effort that's put into crafting an instrument, especially the attention to detail that's crucial when aging these guitars. From the buckle rash on the back to the faded areas where you rest your hand, pick marks, and especially how the neck feels. These details matter. However, not all Relic guitars are made the same, and each manufacturer offers different levels of aging. But the real question is, where do you draw the line between natural relicing and something that just looks too fake? Personally, I prefer the light aging, or in Gibson's case, a VOS, which stands for Vintage Original Spec Finish. This is essentially just a light patina on the hardware and a subtle dullness on the guitar's finish. No dings, no marks, no checking. Essentially simulating what an old guitar that's been lightly played and kept in its case for most of its life. Now, at one point, these VOS finishes were actually a couple $100 cheaper than the same guitar with a glossy finish, but I don't know if that's the case today. The next level of aging is the Murphy Lab, which ranges from ultralight, light, heavy to ultra heavy. Now, prices also vary depending on the level of aging you choose. The Fender Custom Shop offers similar aging levels but uses a different naming convention. But if you've always been curious about Relic guitars and are considering purchasing one but don't want a guitar that looks like it's been dragged through gravel by a pickup truck, start with a VOS or ultralight aging from either manufacturer. The best thing to do though is to actually play one in person to see if it really suits your taste. Now, I have a few examples to show you to give you a better idea of what each level of aging looks like. So I'll start with this guitar right here. This is the lightest Relic that I own from Gibson. This is a VOS finish, and this particular guitar is a 2018 Gibson Custom Shop 1958 Les Paul Standard reissue, and from afar it looks like a brand new guitar. It has very minimal aging or wear on it. Obviously I bought it in 2018, so it has some marks that I've put on it as I played it, but as you can see, what I mentioned earlier, the most aging that you'll see is basically everything that's on the hardware itself. So light patina on the hardware, so the pickup covers are a little bit worn out, there's some oxidation on the metal parts, but other than that, it has no checkings, it has no dings, it has no wear marks anywhere on the guitar. The neck is also perfect, and the back is also really good. There's a few marks, and I'll include some close-up shots so you guys can see what I'm talking about, but it's essentially a new guitar, but it has that little bit of that worn out feel to it. What I like about these guitars is that even though they're not aged or Relic'd, they sort of have like a head start to getting a little bit aged as you play them. So if there's like a little thing here and there, it sort of like blends in with the whole concept of the VOS finish. So I particularly love these guitars. They're my favorite as far as the Gibson, what Gibson offers. So yeah, this is a 58, very good condition. It has a lovely flame top. So yeah, this is the lightest you can get from the Gibson custom shop. So now we move on into the Murphy Lab, and this right here is a 2021 Gibson Custom Shop 1957 Les Paul Custom that has the light aging from the Murphy Lab. And as you can see, you immediately start to notice a lot more aging and relic on this particular model. So you see all of the checking, a lot of small little dings here and there. The binding is also yellowed. The knobs are also a little bit ambered on the numbers. So obviously it's quite a drastic difference than the VOS. However, it's not too much, you know. It's actually very tastefully done, and this to me, as far as Gibson Relic goes, this is probably my favorite, and this is the most I'll get out of the Gibson custom shop line. One of the nicest things about this guitar in particular, and I think all Murphy Lab guitars, are the necks. They feel quite a bit different than the regular VOS or any of the custom shops, in my opinion. They have more of a played, kind of like worn in feel on the neck than the regular ones. They have the roll bindings here, so it just feels really good. But I think just the way the necks feel makes up for it, as opposed to just a regular custom shop. Obviously it's not for everybody, but I think this guitar is fantastic. It's one of my favorite guitars. I play this guitar a lot. You guys have probably seen it in a lot of my videos. It sounds great, and it just looks really cool. And again, it's tastefully done. It's not too aged where you're like, you know, it's not for me. So this, to me, like I said, this is probably the most I'll go when it comes to a Relic guitar. And again, the back, you also see a lot of the checking. The neck has a lot of checking as well. The headstock. So beautiful guitar. And again, I'll show in the close-up shots so you can get a better look on the top. But yes, so this is the Murphy Lab Light Age, and again, my favorite, one of my favorite guitars that I own. So now let's move into the Fender line. This guitar right here, it's based on a 1960 Stratocaster. I ordered this through the custom shop. So basically, I picked what I wanted on this guitar. It originally came with a different pickguard and pickup configuration. I updated it recently to more of a Tom DeLonge style, but originally came with the humbucker and the 2 single coils. And again, if you watch my channel, you've probably seen this guitar how it was originally. I actually made a video. I'll link it somewhere in this one, where I talk a little bit more about the specs and what I ordered. So basically, this is what Fender calls a Journeyman Relic, and this obviously has a little bit more, but not too much, than the Murphy Lab that I just showed you. Fender actually does a really nice job when it comes to relicing guitars, in my opinion. prior to the Murphy Lab stuff from Gibson, I always thought, like, whenever they introduced like an H model or a Relic model from Gibson, it looked a little bit too perfect. Like the checking was done, I believe, with like a blade or something like that, so it looked too uniform. But Fender does it a little bit different. I think their checking, it's actually a little bit more realistic in my opinion. And you can clearly see on this one, obviously this one shows a little bit more wear. You can notice, you know, a lot more dinks in that one. So this is kind of like their medium level of aging. There's some that are actually like the paint is completely worn out. Those are not for me again. This one though, it's really nice. One thing though that I like but I don't like is actually the neck. I love the neck on this guitar, by the way, but the finish kind of wearing out here. It feels great on the hand, but it does look a little bit fake. Like, I don't think anybody will wear out a neck like that, honestly. I mean, shit, you have to play this guitar for years and be on the road, and even then, I don't even think that it will get to this level. But it's part of the package when you get the Journeyman, unless you custom order, you know, instructions for them not to do this to the neck. But normally when it's a Journeyman Relic, they usually do the neck like this. So that's the only thing that I particularly don't love about this guitar, because it does look a little bit, you know, fake, but the neck feels great and it plays really nice. So this guitar is also one of my favorites. Obviously it's special because I did custom order a lot of it, or if not all of it. So yeah, this is a really nice one. Again, you know, the hardware has the oxidation, and you can clearly see the difference between the Murphy Lab from Gibson to this one. This is kind of like the step up. So yeah, lovely guitar, one of my favorites as well. So in conclusion, at the end of the day, a Relic guitar is not for everyone. I guess we can agree on that. I think those of us who appreciate them like to sort of romanticize the idea of owning a vintage guitar, one that's been played and feels worn in. Now, most guitar collectors are not touring musicians who play their instruments day in and day out to naturally achieve that level of wear. So the way I see it is, if you start with a lightly aged guitar like the VOS I showed you earlier, it sort of gives you that worn-in feel, but also allowing your own play wear and your own dings to develop more quickly than on a glossy guitar. All right, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to like and share the video. It really helps the channel grow. Again, subscribe for more music content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.